Guess who found their way to San Jose? Brad Pomerance and Isadore Hall. Isadore Hall, of course, a member of the California State Senate, a candidate for the United States Congress. We're in San Jose at that convention, Democratic convention. So good to see you.
Always good to see you, Brad.
You are also the chairman of the State Legislative Black Caucus.
That's correct.
And I congratulate you on that.
Thank you. Very excited about it.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about African-American voters.
Yes.
At least on the Democratic side.
Right.
We see they have been very strongly for Senator Hillary Clinton
That's
as
correct.
she is running for the United States presidency.
Right.
Talk to me about why you believe that she has garnered such strong support when Senator Sanders is making some inroads otherwise.
Yeah, well, the reality is that, Brad, as you know, her support is not recent. Her support is long-standing with the Clinton family.
Yes.
Goes back to when President Bill Clinton was in office. He always appealed to the black community. You'll see him at the black churches. You'll see him at black community social events. You'll see him promoting and appointing African Americans. You'll see him discussing issues that are very important to the African American: education, home buying.
But what about his wife?
And his wife was part of that. You know, he's not an individual without his wife. You know,
I
they say
understand.
behind every good man there's a woman,
No,
right?
I hear you.
So when you talk about Bill Clinton, you are in effect talking about Hillary Rodham Clinton. In fact, I'd like to say a lot of the stuff that he was doing was because she was actually forcing him to do it.
No, and I have heard him say that she's the smarter one of the two.
She's brilliant. She's brilliant.
But here's the question.
Yeah.
It's hard to deny that African Americans were just beyond excited about the Barack Obama presidency. And that excitement translated into huge voter turnout.
Right.
And it's hard to deny that in some states, that voter turnout of African Americans probably put Barack Obama over the top.
Absolutely.
Think about Florida.
Right.
You think about North Carolina in
Without
08.
question.
And so for Mrs. Clinton to be successful in 2016, she will probably need a pretty sizable turnout of African Americans.
Right.
Do you perceive that the African American community will be at least as excited about her candidacy as they have been about the first black president?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, they were excited about Bill Clinton. They love Bill Clinton. They were excited about President Barack Obama because there was something new, and finally you'd get a chance to have an African American for the first time in history in office. They're very excited about Hillary Clinton. We have to, the dynamics have changed from 4 years to now. Issues have changed. And so now we have to, even though African Americans are motivated, we still have to infuse the black vote too.
But here's what's interesting. I'm going to presume for argument's sake that Mr. Trump is the Republican nominee. Polls indicate that he actually polls a decent amount of African American voters, more than prior Republican nominees.
Well, I'm not voting.
But I think it's important to consider.
But it is important. It's important to consider, and those African American votes which is significant, supporting Donald Trump, most obviously are from the South. Okay. They're not folks on the West Coast. Those are Southern.
Is that
votes.
what we see from polls?
Absolutely.
Okay.
From the Southern states, because they're more conservative. African
By
Americans.
definition.
By definition. The Bible Belt and so forth and so on. But as you move further west, you see a decline of African American supporters for Donald Trump. And there are very few. Even black churches. There are some African American churches in the South, pastors supporting Donald Trump. But then when you move further west, and even east.
And Midwest?
And Midwest as well. You know, those numbers starts to diminish.
I want to speak with you about your run for the United States Congress.
That thing.
That thing. It's happening. It is happening. What made you decide to take a step towards Washington? You had just been elected to the California State Senate, and so you had a nice amount of time in that body, if you so choose.
10 years.
Yeah, so what made you decide, you know what? I want to seek a seat in the United States Congress.
Brad, you've known me for a long time.
I have.
And I started from the school board to the city council to the state assembly to the state senate. And my desire has always been to be in Congress. You remember 5 years ago when I was going to run for Congress, and then on the third map, they moved Janice Hahn's seat into my district. And instead of running, I decided to back out and support Janice Hahn for Congress.
Who's supporting you?
Who is now supporting me as her replacement. She's not supporting me because I am an African American and supporting me because I endorse terror.
Right.
What she's supporting me for is because I'm the only individual in the district who have a long-standing commitment and knowledge base of the needs of the community. And that's why every mayor and every local elected official in this district is supporting me. Look what I've done here in the legislature. I've been able to pass some co-author significant legislation for immigration reform, comprehensive health care for undocumented immigrants, driver's license for the undocumented, also the DREAM Act. I've been able to do education and fund our CSU and Cal State system. Was able also to make sure that the local control funding formula for K-12 was developed so that the underperforming communities, like the communities I represent, have an equal seat at the table when it comes to education.
That begs the question. You have passed this legislation in a democratically controlled body in Sacramento.
Right.
You're going to march yourself to Washington, and barring a surprise, and it could happen, the Democrats will be in the minority in the House of Representatives.
And so Jerry Brown asked me, Governor Brown says, Isadore, why do you want to go to Washington, D.C. when you're going to be in the minority party?
Right.
I said, Governor, I've been in minority all my life.
But it's a little different. It's a little different. I like the comeback, touche, but it's a little different.
Yeah, but so here's the logic. I love you.
We are at a convention. We are at a convention. And there's some rally going on. I don't know what it is.
I would tell you this. I'll tell you this. The odds are on our side. If not now, in 4 years, the pendulum always shifts. Here's what's happening. You're finding some of the older Democrats in the Congress resigning, retiring, so forth and so on. And so if I'm here now and in 6 years when we return, I'll be a Democrat, but in leadership. Because of the folks that are resigning and retiring right now, the big group of folks who've been there 20, 30 years are no longer going to be. So the seniority would now shift down and push me up.
So let's presume victory.
Yes.
What committees, when you talk to Leader Pelosi, I know you'll be a freshman, so you may not get your pick of the litter, but if you have your druthers, what committees would you like to join?
Well, I got to tell you that I'm going to fight for at least two that are very significant. One is transportation and infrastructure.
Okay.
I represent the Port of Los Angeles, which is 40% of all goods movement in the United States goes through that port. And I represent 100% of that port and even some of the Long Beach port. So there is no question that I have to be seated at the table of that committee.
And Mrs. Hahn is there now.
And Mrs. Hahn is there now. And in fact, she's the co-chair of the Port Caucus in Congress. And so that is one that's very important. There's goods movement, ILWU's down there. There's good jobs down there, blue-collar, middle-class jobs, move product and goods movement through there. Transportation, the Alameda Corridor runs right through there as well. We're situated between 5 freeways. So I want to be in an area where transportation infrastructure is
What would be the second committee you'd like to join?
Education. Education. When you look at our community and you look at the lack of individuals in our community going to college.
This is South Los Angeles County.
South Los Angeles, Compton, Wilmington, Long Beach, Southgate, Linwood, San Pedro. We have a hole there. We have a gap. So we need to start talking about alternative forms of education, career tech, VOTech, combined community college with high school. We need to start about
4-year bachelor degrees, the Block Bachelor, your colleague Barney Block.
Absolutely. So we have to start being recreate. When I was in school, when you were in school, we had shop, wood shop, machine shop.
We don't have that anymore.
No shop, right? So if you already know going into school, high school, that you do not have a desire to go to college,
that's okay. And that's okay. Not everyone's going to go to college, and that's okay.
And those individuals need alternative paths of success.
And his name is Isadore Hall.
I love you, man.
He's a member of the California State Senate running for U.S. Congress. That election's in June and November from San Jose, California Democratic Party Convention. Charter Local Edition.
Go Hillary!